Greetings, radiant humans. You are listening to the AI avatar of Dr. Irina Lazuk, dermatologist, skin scientist, and the woman who wants you to stop thinking about your skin as a problem to be solved and start thinking about it as a conversation to be had. Dr. Lazuk is indisposed today because she is currently strapped to the outside of a research vessel somewhere in the Bering Sea, having volunteered for what the science team described as a routine equipment check that has since escalated into an unplanned deep-sea submersible situation. She took notes on the way down, because of course she did. We expect her to surface sometime before the weekend. So, you get the avatar. And today we are talking about something that sounds extremely futuristic, but is actually just very good biology, exosomes, and also PRF and biostimulators. We will get to all of them, but first, a story. For a long time, the aesthetic medicine world operated on a very simple philosophy. If you want better skin, you have to hurt it first. Controlled injury, laser, peel, something aggressive enough to force the skin to respond. The redness, the swelling, the peeling, those were not side effects. Those were considered proof that something meaningful had happened. And honestly, that wasn't entirely wrong. Controlled injury does stimulate repair. The problem was that nobody was paying much attention to what happened after. The assumption was that skin would just figure it out, heal on its own. And eventually it did. But the quality of that healing, how organized it was, how clean, how complete, that was largely left to chance. What we now understand is that the healing part is actually the whole thing. The treatment creates the opportunity. Recovery determines the outcome. And for decades, we were investing enormous amounts of money and downtime into the first part while essentially ignoring the second. Enter exosomes, right on time. Now, before you imagine some miracle serum that erases everything overnight, let's be clear about what exosomes actually are, because the marketing around them has gotten a little carried away, and Dr. Lazuk would like the record to reflect the actual science. Exosomes are not stem cells. They do not divide. They do not replace tissue. They are messengers, tiny cellular messengers carrying instructions, proteins, lipids, genetic signals, that tell surrounding cells how to organize repair more efficiently. Think of it this way. Imagine your skin after a laser treatment is a construction site. The work crews are there, the materials are there, everyone is ready, but nobody has the blueprint. Things happen, but somewhat chaotically. Some areas heal beautifully, others take longer. There are inefficiencies. Exosomes are the blueprint delivery system. They step into the window right after the inflammatory cascade begins, when cells are alert and repair mechanisms are activated and the skin is essentially primed to receive information. And they say, here is how we are doing this. Here is the organized version. Here is how to build collagen correctly instead of just building it quickly. That is why they pair so naturally with energy-based devices like lasers. The laser initiates the repair process. The exosomes refine it. One creates the opportunity. The other improves the execution. And what happens clinically is genuinely interesting. Recovery feels smoother. Redness resolves faster. That uncomfortable in-between phase, where you don't look great yet, but you definitely look like something happened to your face, gets shorter and more predictable. People panic less. They trust the process more. And trust, it turns out, is not a soft outcome. It directly influences how people experience and continue their care. Now, PRF is a different animal entirely. PRF stands for platelet-rich fibrin. It comes from your own blood, which sounds alarming but is actually quite elegant. It creates a scaffold that slowly releases your own regenerative signals over time, not a quick spike. A long, sustained, quiet release that improves tissue quality over months. If exosomes are the blueprint, PRF is the slow-release fertilizer. You don't see it working dramatically, but 6 months later, your skin has a quality to it, a density, a naturalness that feels less like a result and more like your skin simply being better. Biostimulators like Sculptra are different again. They work by provoking a controlled inflammatory response that prompts collagen production. Effective, but slower, And critically, they need to be used when the skin is calm and prepared. Stack a biostimulator too close to an aggressive laser session, and you have essentially asked your skin to manage two simultaneous construction projects. It cannot do this well. Nobody can. This is where sequencing becomes the entire conversation, because these tools are extraordinary when they are used in the right order at the right time. And they are significantly less extraordinary when they are thrown at skin simultaneously, just because they all technically fall under the word regenerative. The skin does not distinguish between good inflammation and bad inflammation. It just registers load. When the load exceeds tolerance, healing quality suffers. Results become unpredictable. Pigment risk goes up. Downtime stretches. And everyone blames the treatment when really the problem was the timing. More is not better. Better is better. This is also where the broader shift in aesthetic medicine becomes really exciting. We are moving slowly but genuinely away from the idea that skin has to suffer in order to improve, away from intensity as the primary metric of success, away from asking how dramatic was the result immediately after, and toward asking how did the skin behave over the next 6 months. That is a completely different question, and it leads to completely different decisions. Patients who understand regeneration as a process rather than a product stop panicking during the early healing phases. They stop chasing instant gratification. They trust the arc. And that trust, that biological patience, actually feeds back into better outcomes. The system calms, the skin stabilizes, results compound instead of resetting. The skin that heals cleanly stays adaptable. You can layer future treatments without fear. You can adjust as things change. Options stay open. When skin heals poorly, when inflammation lingers or pigment becomes unstable, choices narrow. People feel boxed in, hesitant, frustrated. The lane gets narrower instead of wider. Regenerative aesthetics widens that lane. And that is ultimately why this era feels different from everything that came before it. Not because exosomes are magic, not because PRF is revolutionary in isolation, but because the entire philosophy underneath them has finally grown up. Skin is not a canvas, it is living tissue. It communicates, it has preferences, it responds better when it is supported than when it is overwhelmed. And the tools that respect that, the ones that collaborate with biology instead of overriding it, are the ones that are quietly producing the most durable, most natural, most satisfying results. Not because they promise the most, because they understand the most. Before we close, everything you just heard is purely for entertainment and educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Exosomes, PRF, biostimulators, and laser treatments are all medical and clinical topics that require professional evaluation. Please consult a licensed dermatologist or qualified aesthetic practitioner before making any treatment decisions. Dr. Lazuk will be available for consultations as soon as the submersible is recovered and debriefed. May your skin always glow as brightly as your smile.